U.S. President Donald Trump has announced he would not impose tariffs on 8 European nations, citing progress in talks on Greenland.
The European Parliament has voted to refer the EU-Mercosur trade agreement to the EU Court of Justice, a move which could significantly delay or even derail the deal.
Israeli strikes on Wednesday killed at least 11 people, including 3 journalists and 2 children.
U.S. President Donald Trump has announced he would not impose tariffs on 8 European nations scheduled to take effect on the 1st of February, citing progress in talks with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte on Greenland in Davos. Trump said the two leaders reached the framework of a future deal with respect to the Danish territory, adding that the potential agreement would benefit the U.S. and all NATO members.
Well, the deal is going to be put out pretty soon, and we'll see. It's right now a little bit in progress, but pretty far along. It gets us everything we needed to get.
Trump offered few details on the contents of the deal and did not specify how it would affect his ambition to eventually acquire Greenland.
Det at præsidentens ambition jo intakt. Det selvfølgelig isoleret positivt, at der bliver sagt, at vi kommer ikke til at bruge militær magt. Det skal man selvfølgelig tage ned, men det får jo ikke den her sag til at gå væk. Fordi det bliver udtrykt jo meget, meget, meget klart, at det er bedre at eje end at leje, og at Danmark ikke kan passe på Grønland. Så udfordringen er der jo stadigvæk. En tænkning omkring territorial integritet, som ikke matcher med de institutioner, vi har.
Trump's Greenland campaign has opened the deepest rift between Washington and its European allies in decades.
Arriving in Davos by helicopter on Wednesday, US President Donald Trump entered a tense atmosphere as European and allied leaders pushed back against his demands for control of Greenland, which he says is vital to US and global security.
We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it.
Mentioning World War II, Trump criticized Denmark for what he called ingratitude, noting that the US had defended Greenland and then returned it. Trump said he now has plans to build a Golden Dome defense system to protect against potential enemies.
More money in the next. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States, just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history, as many of the European nations have.
Trump said no nation is better positioned to defend Greenland than the United States. Even as he now emphasized Washington would not use force for this acquisition, Trump nevertheless also warned Denmark that they would remember a refusal. Trump also used his World Economic Forum speech to criticize Europe's energy policies and NATO contributions.
After U.S. President Donald Trump delivered his highly anticipated speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Euronews spoke to attendees about his comments on Greenland. Here's what some of them had to say.
We heard firsthand everything that the President believes, and it was useful to be here to understand it completely. So no threat of force for Greenland. This was a good message. Well, I think the only way to solve this situation is to talk to each other. There is no other way. I think the transatlantic partnership is important, was historically important, and we should do everything that it remains important. Well, I'm sure there is no other way than talks. That was very clear today.
Thank you very much.
I think that a lot of it was just, a little bit of a sideshow to make up for the fact that he withdrew his threat to take military action. Only time will tell. Only time will tell.
Thank you so much.
Euronews caught up with the European Union's Commissioner for Enlargement at the World Economic Forum in Davos, where Ukraine's EU membership bid is sitting high on the agenda. The commissioner said she's attending the event to hold important meetings on the redevelopment of Ukraine, including with private U.S. firms like BlackRock, to discuss what is often an under-discussed issue when it comes to the war in Ukraine.
And economic development. We can only be successful if we will bring private capital. But we will not be able to bring private capital in if we will not make the conditions, the business conditions, so that the investors will feel safe.
And BlackRock is a big name. BlackRock can change things.
Indeed, and it is European Union is not enough. State money or EU money is not enough. We desperately need also private engagement. And out of the talks I have had until now in Davos, I can see the interest is very big. But of course, everybody would like to end the war as soon as possible.
In many ways, not credible.
Kos was also asked to comment on speculations that Ukraine is being offered an expedited process into the bloc, with some reports suggesting it could happen as early as 2030.
We have a big challenge, and it is great what you ask, a big challenge how to gap the time we have and the challenges or I wouldn't say quick membership, but we are still using the methodology which was used basically when your country, Spain, 40 years back became a member of the European Union. So how can we change not perhaps also the methodology, we will have to speak about this, but how can we bring the countries who are indispensable for the European security and also prosperity in the European Union, in the sense that it will make us stronger, EU, and not weaker.
The Enlargement Commissioner also said she hoped the EU will adapt its processes to facilitate quicker memberships, which would be in line with the rapidly changing geopolitical climate. Summing up her argument, Kos concluded that an EU with stronger enlargement protocols is an independent EU that is better prepared to face today's and tomorrow's challenges.
Yes, a pleasure.
The European Parliament has voted to refer the EU-Mercosur trade agreement to the EU Court of Justice on Wednesday. The move significantly delays the deal and could even potentially derail its final approval. The vote, as expected, was tight, with 334 MEPs voting in favor of the referral, 324 against, and 11 abstaining from the vote. The European Commission could still provisionally apply the deal, provided the move was endorsed by member states.
Would be the first time if the Commission decides to apply for a provisional application of this agreement, knowing that it comes just a few hours after the vote against an application short-term of the Mercosur agreement by the Parliament. That would be very difficult to accept from the Parliament perspective that the Commission does such a move. They have the right to do so, but politically speaking, that would be difficult to accept from us.
The EU-Mercosur agreement was signed on the 17th of January and is set to create a free trade area of over 700 million people. It's controversial across Europe, and several countries like France and Poland have steadfastly opposed it. The agreement's advocates consider it a major opportunity for European industries and a way to bolster the bloc's geostrategic position, especially at a time of constant clashes with their biggest and formerly most reliable partner, the United States. The referral to the top EU court suspends the approval procedure in the European Parliament, which was set for a final vote in the coming months. A court ruling could take more than a year to be issued, and in the interim, the deal's approval will be frozen.
At least 11 people, including 3 journalists and 2 children, have been killed in Israeli bombing on the Gaza Strip on Wednesday, according to hospitals. One of the attacks targeted a vehicle belonging to the Egyptian Committee for Gaza Relief, in which 3 journalists who were documenting the committee's work were killed, its spokesman said. AFP freelance journalist Abdul Rauf Jat was among the victims. The AFP said in a statement.
لا ولا بيشكلوا اي خطر. المنطقه دي المفروض ان هي تبع الوقت يعني منطقه خضراء، يعني ما فيهاش ضرب ولا فيها اي حاجه، يعني هم كانوا هناك بيشوفوا شغلهم عادي زي اي حد.
Israel's military said it had spotted suspects who were operating a drone that posed a threat to its troops. In separate attacks, a 13-year-old, his father and a 22-year-old man were hit by Israeli drones in the Burej refugee camp, according to officials from Al-Aqsa Hospital in Deir al-Balah. The other 13-year-old was shot by troops in the eastern town of Bani Shuhaila, Nasser Hospital said after receiving the body. Wednesday marked one of the deadliest days since the ceasefire took effect in October.
The President of Cyprus inaugurated the exhibition The Myths of Cyprus at the European Parliament Visitors Centre in Strasbourg, in the presence of the President of the European Parliament, Roberta Metsola. Nikos Christodoulidis noted that the exhibition, The Myths of Cyprus, was born out of a deep need to preserve, promote and disseminate cultural heritage. He also said that the myths and traditions of a place are not just narratives of the past, but living stories that connect generations, reflect common values, and are an integral part of our cultural identity. Roberto Metsola was guided by the director of the Cyprus Press and Information Office, who emphasized that the exhibition Myths of Cyprus serves as an introduction to Cyprus.
That's also real.
The exhibition presented the 8 myths of Cyprus: the dragons, the wine of the knights, the stone of Degenis, Saint Ellen and the Holy Cross, Sirolotta, the flood, Adonis and the castles of Riga.
It's a historical narration of the myth.
At the end of the tour, Ali Castilla now presented a book on the myths of Cyprus to the President of the European Parliament.
The myths you can have on your desk.
The exhibition will remain open until the end of the Cyprus presidency.
I hope you